many goals do you have this year? How many New Year's resolutions have you made and maybe you've kept? Have you got a plant for Christmas or a gift that you just want to keep alive? Do you want to start a huge jungle in your house and you're starting from scratch? Or maybe you just want to add some greenery into your beautiful home to make it more luscious and cozy. Well, you're at the right place because I'm going to share with you my top 5 must-have accessories, especially if you're a beginner plant person out there. And number 5 may even surprise you, even if you've been doing plants for a while. You may not have used this one before. Some of them may seem simple if you've been doing plants for a while, but trust me, these are the 5 you really need in your kit to get those luscious leaves big and beautiful. I will include some links below so you know what I'm talking about. I'll try and give some options where possible, and some may be affiliate links just to help me out a little bit with this plant channel. So let's get into the top 5. Okay, the very first thing you should have in your plant kit to help out your plants is this. A probe? No, well, I mean it is, but it's a plant water meter. Now, you have to have one of these, and I'll give you a bit of a story why. When I first started out with my plants, it was about 5 years ago, I got into plants, and I bought 3 plants, and I had someone tell me to water every Sunday. Now, part of that seems like a good idea because you're consistent with your plant watering and you know that you won't forget if you do it every single similar day every week. Problem with that is all plants are different. And to be honest, all 3 plants that I bought are killed within a matter of 6 months. Not the best. So what I have learnt is the plant is very dependent on the environment it sits in. Something like a peace lily loves water, so you may want to water it every couple of days and water it while the soil is still wet. Something more like a ZZ plant or a snake plant may need watering only once every month. It also depends on the temperature outside. Is it hot? Is it cold? Is it summer? Is it winter? It all is very dependent on the environment that it's in. So a consistent schedule every week might be too much or it might be too little. So these babies come in very handy for that. They will tell you when to water and when to leave it alone when the plant is happy. So when you think it's time to water a plant, carry one of these around with you in the house. Now, firstly, you can look at the soil, and if the soil is wet, you probably don't need to water the plant, to be honest, so you can just leave it and go on to the next one. If the soil at the top of the soil that you're looking at is dry, grab your water meter and pop the end into the soil and pop it all the way down, at least halfway, if not 3/4 of the way down into the soil. Push it down, get past all those roots, and push it down to the bottom because water will sit at the bottom even if the soil is dry at the top. And that's what you're looking for. You don't want to water the soil if there's a whole lot of water sitting at the bottom and it's just pooling at the bottom. It's better to be safe than sorry, and try and dry it out as much as possible. I pretty much always water my plants when they are sitting at dry or even extra dry. There's a little plus sign on this one that comes up. So dry or dry plus. If you've got one of those green meters that has the numbers on it, go down to a 1 or even a 0. I know it says dry and it goes in the red when it's a number 3, but even that still has water in it. So I recommend waiting just that little bit longer and letting all of the soil dry out. The only exception is if it's either living in water or if it's a very, very, very water loving plant. But 9 times out of 10, your plant will appreciate it if the soil dries out before you water it again. So again, this guy is super, super handy. It will help you keep your plants alive. It'll help you keep the plant happy with the amount of water that it needs and not overwater your plant and therefore kill your plant because you'll add more water. It's so confusing. Trust me, this water meter, you're gonna absolutely love. If you haven't got it in there, buy it now. Go to the link and buy it now. Trust me, this one saves plant lives. You need to save lives. The second accessory you need in your plant kit may seem obvious, but bear with me. It's one of these. You need a watering can. But there's a few reasons why getting a good watering can makes sense. The first one is the spout, the long spout. If you get one that's longer, the spout will actually help you get in under the leaves and get the water to the soil, underneath the leaves to the soil. There are some plants out there that actually don't like water on their leaves, and especially if you have indoor plants, you don't have like the outside wind or the gusts or the movement of the plants to dry the leaves out. And so having water sitting on plant leaves sometimes does cause a bit of damage to some leaves on some plants out there. So make sure you get a long spout and try to water into the soil, into the base. Another reason to have a good watering can is actually a handle at the top and at the side. Maybe it's got two, maybe it's got one single one like this. So especially if it's a bigger watering can, maybe a 5 litre or a 9 litre watering can, a handle at the top is very handy to carry it because it doesn't hurt your wrist if it's full of water, and obviously at the side it just helps it pour. So do look for something with a handle at the top and at the side to help you out. The third thing you need to look out for is a watering can that has one of these. If you have one of these shower head type things on the end of your watering can spout, I want you to do one thing. I want you to grab it. Seriously, it's not the best, as I said, because you don't want the water to get on the leaves. So it's so much easier just to not use it, keep it in the bag. I never use the shower head. I just find it gets in the way, it gets water everywhere, and I can have a much more controlled pour with a watering can if I don't have a shower head and I have a long spout on the can. And then the final thing to just think of is how aesthetic it is. How beautiful is it? Use it as a bit of decor in your house. I put mine on my shelf next to my plants, and it also does just remind me to keep check of the soil of all the plants and make sure I water at the right time. Get one that's cute and funky and put it on the shelf and fall in love with it as much as you do your plants. Okay, we're halfway now with number 3, and the number 3 thing to have in your planting kit is a pair of good scissors, plant scissors. Keep them for plants and keep them separate. Don't use them with everything else. They may look thin like this one. They may actually look thicker like this one. The thicker ones I use to just cut thicker stems. They come in handy for harder cuts. Whereas these ones I probably use the most because they have a long, thin stem. And if you can find longer, great. I've seen longer ones, but I do love these, even though they have been bitten by my puppies quite a bit. One of them got to my scissors. So invest in a good pair of plant scissors. Ultimately, cheap scissors do fall apart very quickly. So there are some, for example, with springs on them, and the spring, if they're cheaper, will fall out. I've had these for a while and they went blunt very, very quickly, and they can just damage very easily. So just invest in a good pair of scissors for your plants. The other thing you really want to make sure is that every time you chop your plant, the scissor part, the blades, are sprayed with some kind of disinfectant, because whenever you're cutting a plant, you want to make sure that there is nothing, there's no germs on anything going into a fresh cut. The cleaner the cut, the better. And you may see actually on other YouTube channels, they're actually using like a razor blade or something to chop through, get a really smooth cut. And if you want to do that, fine, but I just don't think you have as much control with those. So just sterilize the scissors, make sure you keep them sharp, make sure you only use them for plants, and keep them happy and healthy, and they will last you a good long time. Okay, number 4, and I've got some gloves on for this one. The number 4 ingredient is this right here. This stuff is perlite. So you know when you watch people with plants and you look at their soil and they always have these white stony bits in the soil. Well, 9 times out of 10 that's going to be perlite or something called pumice, but we'll talk about that, or you can Google that at some other stage. But perlite is the bomb. And the reason why so many of us use perlite is because it puts oxygen into the soil and keeps the oxygen going around the roots. And the roots need oxygen to survive and be beautiful and healthy. I use perlite in almost everything. I use it in my propagation mix. I use it in my chunky aroid mix. I use it in my calathea mix. I mean, a really good soil mix in general is 1/3 of potting mix, 1/3 of perlite, and 1/3 of orchid bark. If you want to just mix those together, it's a great first time. Pretty general, you can use it for a lot of different things, but perlite is the one main ingredient that pretty much all plant people use. Perlite is just easy to get to. So have a look in your shop, have a look in your big box store or your nursery. They're gonna love it, and you're gonna love me for that. Okay, we're down to number 5. And the final product that I'm going to share with you is one that honestly I cannot live without. I discovered this a couple of years ago, and I've bought 3 so far. I've replenished it 3 so far, and that is this. This is Velcro. It is specifically plant Velcro. I haven't tried the normal Velcro, but my guess is it wouldn't be as water phobic as this one. This actually repels the water quite nicely. But this stuff is awesome. It has saved me so many times, and I use it mainly to put plants up onto stakes or poles and just lift and stand the plant stems up, especially if they're long, especially if they're thin. Sometimes if a plant is scoping out for more light and the stem is really, really long and thick between the nodes, I'll just try and and make sure that the plant is wrapped next to or around a stake with Velcro. And this is nice and thick. It's not thin like the wire, it's nice and thick, so it's really gentle on the stem. It doesn't dig into the stem, it doesn't dig into the stake. And once you cut it, it sticks to itself because it's Velcro. So you don't need anything else except one piece of Velcro to wrap around the stake. You don't need extra tie-ups or anything like that. It is the bomb. I absolutely love this stuff. I must state, Velcro is the brand, but the generic term is hook and loop tape if you find that somewhere else. But now the other reason why I absolutely love this Velcro is because it's reusable. So once I've used it on a stem and that plant has, you know, linked itself to a moss pole or a stake, or it's just done what I would like it to do and it's nice and happy, I'll take the tape off and I'll reuse it. So you don't have to throw it out and start again. Sometimes I find with the twine it's too twisty and whatever it is, so I don't use that, or I'll throw it out, or I just get frustrated with it. Oh, I can't talk about this enough. I could probably have a whole YouTube channel just based on Velcro by the sound of it. Anyway, just do yourself a favor and go out and buy some hook and loop tape, some Velcro tape for your plants. I promise you it will help you immensely. It will help your plants live happily, and it's nice and gentle on the plants. The only reason I seem to buy more of this stuff, I now have used 3 rolls, is because I just buy more plants. And I think that's a very good reason. So there you go, 5 very foundational but hugely amazing and bloody useful, am I allowed to say bloody? Bloody useful plant accessories to have in your plant kit. So seriously, if you don't have these 5 things, go out and grab them right now, especially if you're starting out your plant journey this year and you're getting into plants and you're going to get all green and make your home beautiful and cozy. Because I guarantee you, these things might feel simple or seem simple, but they are the bomb and so helpful when it comes to making your plants beautiful and luscious. So thank you very much for joining me. Again, as I said, there's links down below if you need anything, but if you have any questions, please write them in the comments, come back to me, and I will try and help out as much as possible. And if not, have a great year. I hope you grab some of those goals with gusto. Go for it. It's a new year, it's a new start. It's definitely time for new plants, and I will see you in the next plant video. See you later. Hello, baby.